Okay, now, there are Brown's stages. Roger Brown was a famous linguist at Harvard, and he gathered a bunch of people who later became famous. Ursula Bellucci, Edward Klima, all kinds of names that you find, Dan Slobin, all kinds of names that became luminaries in linguistics were on his team, and they investigated the language acquisition process in 3 children, Adam, Eve, and Sarah. Now, of these, Eve was the most precocious, and Sarah was the least precocious, and Adam fell in the middle. All 3 of them were normal children and all have university degrees, so they may have even been bright, but they were just picked. They were children of Harvard faculty, because you needed somebody who tolerated research for as much research they were going to do. And let's take a look at what they discovered. And by the way, this is true across languages. It's remarkable what Brown and his team did. Stage 1, semantic roles and syntactic relationships. Now, unless you've taken some linguistics courses directly, you will not know what is meant by a semantic role. So let me tell you. A semantic role is anything a particular word can do in a traditional structure. For instance, if it's a noun, it can probably be a subject or an object. It can probably be an object of a preposition. It can probably be one or many. Some nouns are born as mass nouns, and some are count nouns, like sugar is a mass noun. Pass me some sugar. The plural of sugar doesn't mean sugar like we're talking about. Sugars refers to chemical, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. How many sugars make up that compound? But sugar itself is a mass noun, and when you put a singular and a plural on a mass noun, you change its meaning. Horse is a plural noun. How you can count them, it's a count noun. 1 horse, 2 horses. Suppose you change it to meaning a quantity. It suddenly becomes a slang word for heroin. They got a new load of horse in. How much horse did they have? You wouldn't say, how many horses do they have? We use much with count nouns, many. Or we use much with mass nouns, many with count nouns. So whether a word, a noun, is a mass noun or a count noun, we don't even think about it except when someone says, fewer books, not less books. You hear the difference? Okay, but that's part of those words have that semantic role. Some verbs can take objects, like some can take 2 objects. Give me something. Something is the direct object, me is the indirect object, so that's in a sense 2 objects. Some can't, like I walk. I walked yesterday. I walked for 5 miles is a modifier. You didn't walk, you know, or even I walked 5 miles. That's a modifier. Okay, so those things are called semantic roles. And they're complex. And syntactic relationships is the order you put the words in to show their semantic role. He give me book. How do you know who did the giving there? Was it me or book? It's the first the first substantive in front of the first action word. That's always going to be, you know, okay, that's going to be the doer. And then things that follow the action word in certain order. You know, like me, he give book me. Does that make sense? Doesn't make sense. That's the kind of error people don't make. They might say, he give me book. But you're dealing with a language disorder when you say, he give book me. So, so what kids are learning is how to arrange the words in order to express the semantic roles. And the semantic, they're learning the semantic roles in order to hear how people are developing, you know, getting them out. Okay. See mommy, see daddy, find it, hide it, fix it, mine, all gone, up here, over there. It is a very popular word at this time of life, but this is where they're getting subject, verb, object ready. Sometimes they say find it, which is verb object. Okay. Okay. See mommy, it's the object, isn't it? Say mommy see, or mommy seeing. You see? Okay. Okay. The next thing are the grammatical morphemes. That's the INGs. There are 13 of them. That's singular and plural nouns. That's irregular verbs. These are the grammatical morphemes, and they modulate meaning. That's Daddy's nose. Can anyone parse that or take that apart for me? That's apostrophe S, Daddy's apostrophe S. Do they mean the same thing, and are they pronounced the same? Well, there are two kinds of S sounds. One is S, and the other is Z. They're called voiceless and voiced. This one is voiceless, and this one is voiced. What's the difference in their meaning? I'm going to get you. Emily.
Daddy's is possessive, because that belongs to him.
Daddy's is possessive. Does that mean
That's his nose.
that when it's Z sound, that it's possessive?
No.
The plot thickens. And what is the that's?
That's is
A contraction
that
of is. But when it said is, it's voiced. When it said that's, it's not voiced. Are all contractions voiced? No, they're unvoiced. Okay, what's the secret here? These two mean two different things, but whatever the preceding phoneme was, it will take up the voicelessness or voicedness. So if it's preceded by a vowel, or an R with a vowel sound, it will be a voiced. And so I have a friend named Matt. Suppose I said, where is Matt's nose? Okay, now I'll start it. Where's, you see that, where's Matt's nose? You see it, where's Matt's nose? You know, you've reversed them. By the way, kids will come up with this independently. There was a famous experiment done by Berkel Gleason. It's called wugs and bics. Kids were shown this is a wug and this is a bic. And then there were two, and they know, and what's this? Bic. You know, what's this bic? Wug. Then they got a couple of them. So what's this? And it's a bic. And what are these? They said wugs. They were under two. They said wugs. And when they said, and we have two of these, what are they? And the kids all said bics. So not only had they mastered plurality, but they had mastered the rules of sequence of phonemes. Kids in this stage are learning so much. The kids we serve in this stage can't talk yet. They can't really articulate. Okay, this is where the problem begins. Now, I'm going to take us to the modalities of the simple sentence. And in this modalities of the simple sentence, we're going to look at how complex English actually... Was this complex enough up here?
Yes.
Oh, that was plenty complex. All you have to know is start using possessives and contracted ises. That's called, because that contracted copula, you know, and the possessive are things that you know. You have the list of 14, and if you just start using ordinary sentences, they'll all come out, whether you're watching or not. But here they are, modalities of the simple sentence. Yes, no questions, WH questions. And by the way, God didn't make any people who didn't use. There are only 2 question formats in English, and I don't think they're in all other languages. Same question format. Then we're talking about WH questions, negatives, and imperatives. So we're going to go down here. Basic question formats. And what I'm going to show you here is something that you may not have ever consciously analyzed, but you would never make a mistake. Yes, no question. What's the yes, no question for she ate candy?
Did she eat candy?
It is, did she eat candy? Okay. Why did the ate become eat? Why did it go from present to past tense? Why did it go from past tense to eat present tense? The tense went into the auxiliary, because you can say, ate she not question, ate she not candy. Shakespeare could have, and well, even a little, Shakespeare didn't usually use it that way. It was in transition then. But certainly Spencer and those guys would have said, ate she not candy. But by the time modern English is with us here, it's the way you form any yes-no question is you put in a do, a form of do becomes a question word, and the tense of the verb goes back to the base tense, sometimes called its lemma form, its base form. Did she eat candy? The fact that you can't ask a question of a main verb without using a form of do. It's called do support. Okay. Do you think children will learn do support? How to use expressively do, these forms of do accompanying things without actually having that experience? I don't think so. There's powerful evidence to say you've got to get kids into the messy business of organizing their own sentences when they're little, or when they're just beginning English or beginning German. The beautiful paper.
And does it start by them hearing it?
What?
And does it start by them hearing it?
Yes.
And so that, yeah.
But I assure you, if they don't have a hearing impairment, they're going to be hearing do support all day long from the time they're taken out of the recovery room.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to take him in over to show him to the mom?
Mm-hmm.
And then, where's the mom? A WH question. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Well, when is she going to come back? You know what I mean? Like a bang, 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 bang. These happen all day long in this kid's life, but he's got to have some opportunity to formulate his own. And And language acquisition is a messy business. I'll show you some more. Okay, all you have to do is be sure you're supplying this kid with yes-no questions. You're asking him yes-no questions, and you're helping him, you're modeling an answer for him, and then helping him model it. And then you're using the machine to express your question. And then you're using the machine to express your answer. It's called aided language stimulation, and Gail is going to be talking about aided language stimulation all day tomorrow. But modeling language is what you need to do for these kids, and so after you do this, you then say, well, did she eat candy? And if he's confused, you help him say, she ate candy. What's the negative form?
She didn't.
Bingo! It's she didn't eat candy. So not only do you have yes-no questions using do, you have negatives using do all the time. I don't eat in the cafeteria on Wednesdays. You know, you can't say, I eat not in the cafeteria on
Some
Wednesdays.
people could.
Do you understand that do is used with the negative with every main verb? It's used, some form of it is used with the question with every main verb. And kids have got to have access to do, does, did, and they're negatives. Don't, I don't, you know, don't, didn't, don't, doesn't, didn't. They pop up all over the place, and kids have to put them where they're supposed to go, or they will not learn to do that expressively. Bob Conti's grandparents spoke Italian for their entire lives, and they never got their tongues wrapped around English. So with Bob's parents, they spoke exclusively in Italian to their own children. And their own children spoke to them exclusively in Italian and to each other. Until they went to school. And then after they went to school for a while, they learned how to speak English, but they did not speak English at home. By the time they were adult and married and had in-laws and all sorts of things, they were speaking Italian to some people and English to others, but on the outside world, outside the family, they were speaking English. And the kids were speaking English, but the kids heard Italian all day long in their homes. And guess what those kids could do? When Bob was 12, he could understand Italian conversation. Guess what he couldn't do?
You couldn't speak
He
it?
couldn't speak in Italian. His language was totally receptive. He didn't know how to